So in the previous video we saw the structure of the seed. Uh, Now we see the germination of the seed. The seed contains a dormant embryo. Yeah, we know that the seed contains an embryo which is dormant, which is protected by the seed, and it is going to remain dormant till the time the conditions are not favorable around it. In a dry seed, the embryo is inactive. It is said to be in a state of dormancy, a period of rest. Outwardly, it appears to be without life, but in fact, all the chemical activities of the life are going on in it, although they are very slow and little food is utilized. So when we see that the grains or the seeds are there, we normally feel that the seed is dead. It is not moving. It is not respiring, but it is not so. They do respire, they do take in nutrition from the embryo which is there inside the particular seed is going to take in nutrition, but it is going to be in a very slow manner, and due to which we cannot even experimentally try to find out that their respiration or something has taken place in that particular seed. So the dry seed consume oxygen and give out carbon dioxide both in extremely minute quantities, and they release some heat as well. When placed in the proper conditions, the dormant embryo awakens. That is, it becomes active and starts growing into a seedling. So you see that when the seed is dormant, it does respire, it does take in oxygen, give out carbon dioxide, but in a very minute quantity. Okay, but when the embryo gets suitable conditions, and that is the time when it wakes up. Okay, when it wakes up, it starts growing. So that's why it becomes active and starts growing into a seedling. All the changes leading to the formation of the seedling are collectively called germination. So the process by which the seed is getting converted into a seedling, the process is called as germination. So the path, or we can say the changes which leads to the formation of a seedling from a seed is called as germination. So germination is the process of formation of seedling developed from the embryo. So the process of developing the embryo into a seedling is called as germination. A fresh seed from a plant normally does not germinate even if the conditions for germination are favorable. It must pass through a period of dormancy during which it undergoes physiological maturation. So it is not that एक प्लांट के ऊपर एक फ्रूट ग्रो हुआ और हम लोग ने तुरंत तोड़ा, उसमें से सीड निकाला, उसको फेवरेबल कंडीशंस में दिया तो it will start growing. No, it may not start growing because it requires certain stage of dormancy, which is the stage of maturation for that embryo. So even if the favorable conditions are available to the plant, to the seed right from the beginning, it may not grow or it will remain dormant because it requires certain maturation to take place. So once matured, yes, then the seed, if it gets the required conditions, it is going to start developing into a seedling. So that is for undergoing physiological maturation. Now let us see what are the conditions necessary for germination. So for germination to take place, there are certain conditions which are required for the seed, for the seedling, for the formation of seedling. So what are those? First is water. Second is suitable temperature, and air, that is oxygen, are the necessary for germination. So what we see is, first one is water. Second one is suitable temperature. Now when I say suitable temperature, it does not mean sun. Even if sun is not there, the seed can grow. Okay. And the third one is air, that is mainly oxygen. It requires oxygen for its growth. So let's see one by one how this particular kind of the condition is going to be helpful for the embryo to generate into a seedling. First is water. The seed obtains water from its environment, that is from the soil in natural conditions. The water is absorbed all over the surface but mainly through the micropyle. Two main uses of the water are the seed swells and consequently the seed coat ruptures, allowing the an elongating radicle to come out and form the root system. So mainly first thing is water is required for the plant, so for the seed, so that it can soften and allow the radicle and the plumule to come outside that particular hard seed coats. So first thing is that water is going to be absorbed by the seed throughout the seed. ऐसे तो वो diffusion से सब जगह से लेगा, but mainly it is going to be the micropyle which is going to absorb the water into the seed. And once it absorbs the water into the seed, then the outer coating, that is the testa and tegmen, are going to become softened so that the radicle can push out from the embryo, from the root system, and form this root system. Water is necessary for chemical reactions and for the enzymes to act upon the food stored in the cotyledon or endosperm so that it may convert into diffusible dissolved form that can be utilized by the growing embryo. See, up till now the endosperm and the cotyledons which are there, they had stored the food, but they were not in the condition which the embryo can easily accept. Now, because of water, it gets dissolved completely. The endosperm over there and the cotyledons over there will have the dissolved form of the nutrients, which can easily be absorbed by the cotyledons, so that they also by the embryo, so that they can grow. The germination can take place. So that's why we see that water is going to be very important for the formation of germination. Okay. Second is suitable temperature. Both very low and very high temperature are unsuitable for germination. A very low temperature inhibits the growth of the embryo, and a very high temperature destroys its delicate tissues. A moderate warm temperature between 25 to 25 degrees Celsius is usually favorable for germination, which is also called as optimum temperature. Seeds of tropic plants often need a higher temperature for germination than those of the temperate region. So normally, it's seen the suitable temperature. We are talking about suitable temperature. We are saying over here, why suitable temperature? Because if it is very low temperature, then also the embryo cannot germinate. If it is very high temperature also, then is a problem, because the enzymes which are generated by the plant, they are going to be destroyed. So that's why very high temperature bhi nahi chalega, very low temperature bhi nahi chalega. So an optimum temperature, that is the temperature which is the best suited temperature for the germination, is between 25 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius. Normally, if it is a plant which is in the tropic area where it is more hot, it will require some higher temperature, and if it is in the temperate zone, then it will be at a lower temperature. The third one is oxygen, air. During germination, there is a rapid cell division and cell growth for which energy is required. This energy is available only by respiration, that is oxidation of food, and hence the need for oxygen or air. So yes, we know that oxygen is required for respiration, because respiration is the process by which ATP is generated. The generation of ATP is by respiration, and that is by the we can say the decompose, or you can say what do we call oxidation of the food, that is the oxidation of the glucose which is present inside the seed. So ये particular oxidation जो होता है उसके कारण your ATP is going to be generated. This ATP is required for the continuous cell division. See, in case of the seed, when it is germinating, the cell division will be extremely high. There will be a huge amount of cell division taking place at that particular time, because the growth is very fast. That's why it requires more energy, and for more energy, it requires respiration to be there. So for respiration, it requires oxygen. So in this way, these are the three main suitable conditions required for germination, that is water, suitable temperature, and air or oxygen. You are not supposed to write sunlight in case of temperature. You cannot write sunlight. Sunlight उसको नहीं मिला तो भी problem नहीं है. Seeds को हम लोग जब भी ground में डालते हैं तो कोई sunlight नहीं आता है. So sunlight is not the condition required. It is suitable temperature which is required for the plant to grow. And Yeah, there is one give reason over here that seeds sown very deep in the soil fail to germinate because of two main reasons. One is no proper supply of oxygen or for respiration. You can see that अगर किसी ने बहुत ज़्यादा डीप करके अगर डीप अंदर सीव कर दिया सीड को सॉइल के अंदर तो और फिर बंद कर दिया तो देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी दैट द ऑक्सीजन इज नॉट अवेलेबल फॉर द सीड. सो इवन इफ वाटर इज देयर, temperature is there, but the oxygen is not available, so it will not grow. And secondly is that insufficient pushing force in the embryonic part, the epicotyle, hypocotyle, epicotyle to break through the upper layer of the soil. See, the epicotyle and the hypocotyle needs to grow, so they need to grow and come outside, and they give out the first leaves so that the photosynthesis can take place and the food can be available for the plant. But if they fail to come out because they are deeply sown, तो क्या होगा, वो ग्रो हो रहा है पर वो उसको बाहर निकलने के लिए ये नहीं मिल रहा because it's very deep inside. So in that such a case they are not going to survive and they die. So that's why they say that seeds sown deep in the soil fail to germinate because these two reasons. One is the reason that they are not able to get oxygen, and secondly is they do not have that much amount of force that would pushing force which could come break through the layer of the soil and come outside. So that was about the conditions. Now we have got some experiments to say that how is this particular conditions we are going to prove that these conditions are required for the plant. Okay, so first one is experiment to prove that water is necessary for germination. Take two beakers and mark them A and B. In beaker A, place some seeds of green gram or chickpea on wet cotton cloth, cotton wool. In beaker B, place some similar seeds on dry cotton wool. Keep both the beakers in the ordinary temperature on an ordinary room. In a day or two, the seeds in beaker A will germinate, but not in beaker B, showing that water is necessary for germination. So it's a very simple thing. We are just taking up two beakers. So we are taking two beakers, one beaker over here, one beaker over here. We are taking some cotton wool over here. The cotton, there's cotton here, cotton here. This one you are adding water to it. So this is wet, and this is dry. And now you put some seeds inside. So if you put a seed inside over here and seed inside over here, you will find that this is going to germinate when this is not going to germinate because water is required for germination. Now next is the experiment to prove that suitable temperature is necessary. Take two beakers, name A and B, place some green gram seeds on a wet cotton wool in each of the two beakers. Keep A in the ordinary room and B in the refrigerator. In a day or two, the seed in the beaker A will germinate while the seed in the beaker B may not show signs of germination, or they may germinate after several days, though not to the extent of the seed in beaker A. This shows that importance of suitable temperature for germination. So again, a very simple experiment. You take the same way, but here now we are taking both of them wet. This is also wet and this is also wet. This you put it in the refrigerator. This is inside the refrigerator. And this one is in normal ordinary room. So you'll find that this is going to germinate and this is not going to germinate because the temperature available over here will be very low. Due to low temperature, it cannot germinate, whereas this one gets the normal temperature. That's why suitable temperature is available. Even water was available, so that's why this is going to germinate. This is not going to germinate even if water is available to it. Third is experiment to prove that oxygen is necessary for germination. Again, you are going to do the same way. You are getting two conical flasks. Name them A and B. Spread wet cotton wool in each case and place onto it some gram seeds. So gram seeds. Lower a small test tube containing alkaline pyrogallic acid which absorb oxygen. So what we do over here is that in one of the jar or one of the conical flask, so you have got one particular flask over here and another flask over here like this, and in one of the particular flask you are going to put a test tube which will be having what is called as alkaline pyrogallic acid. Now this pyrogallic acid is a property. So this will be cotton wool and the seed inside, and the cotton wool and the seed inside, and the wet cotton wool. So this is also wet and this is also wet. This completely fixed, sealed. This is also sealed, fixed over here. So you can see that because of the pyrogallic acid over here, the pyrogallic acid has a property to absorb the oxygen. and because it absorbs the oxygen, so this part doesn't have oxygen, this part has oxygen, so this grows and this doesn't grow. Okay, here you are, instead of taking an acid, you are putting just plain water. So in the test tube you are taking plain water, whereas this is water and this is pyrogallic acid. So this is just for the sake of it. So you can see that pyrogallic acid will absorb oxygen in class B by means of a thread, taking care that it does not a single drop of the chemical falls on the seed or the cotton wool. Keep the tube hanging by fixing a cork on the mouth of the flask. Arrange the flask in the same way except the test tube, that the test tube in the flask this contains plain water. Place the two flasks in an ordinary room. The seed in the flask A will germinate. The seed in the flask B does not germinate because there is no oxygen. There may be at most a very slight germination due to the anaerobic respiration in the absence of oxygen. This shows the importance of oxygen for germination. So this were the 3 experiments which proved that water, suitable temperature and air was required for germination. Now there is one more experiment which is the most important experiment of all. This experiment will tell you that how all the 3 are important for the plant to grow, or for the seed to germinate. So in this case, this is called as the 3-bean seed experiment. So there is a 3-bean seed experiment. There is a beaker. This beaker contains water up to this level, and inside we keep a, you can say, a glass slide or something like a wooden plank, maybe chalega, right? You take a seed, put the seed over here, put another seed here which is half inside the water and half outside the water, and the third seed over here. When you do this, it is found that after some days this will germinate a bit, this will germinate completely, यानी इसका प्लूमियल रेडिकल सब कुछ जलेगा, यहाँ पे कुछ भी नहीं होगा. So why is it so? Because this one gets water, gets suitable temperature, but oxygen inside the water is slightly less. That's why this does not get proper oxygen, and that's why this does not germinate properly. This one over here gets oxygen, gets suitable temperature, but does not get water. That's why it is not getting any kind of germination taking place over here. This one has got all the 3. Air भी है, temperature भी है, और water भी है. That's why this grows properly. So in this experiment, 3 mature air-dried bean seeds are taken and tied to a glass slide at 3 positions as shown in the figure. The slide is kept in a beaker containing water in a manner that the top seed is well above the water. The middle seed is just at the water level and the bottom seed is completely immersed in water. The experiment center is left in the warm place for a few days and the result is as follows. The middle seed germinates, it gets both oxygen and water. The top seed does not germinate at all because it gets only oxygen but no water. But the bottom seed does not germinate or stops germinating after the emergence of a small radical. It gets water but only little oxygen from the air dissolved in the water. The experiment conclusively proves that water is essential for germination, but the other requirement of oxygen is not fully demonstrated. So, yeah, water के लिए ज़्यादा है, but बाकी oxygen के लिए थोड़ा कम पता चलता है. So that is the experiment, which is the 3-bean seed experiment. Now what we see is the type of germination. So in the type of germination, that is the 2 kinds, hypogel and epigel. Both the epicotyle and the hypocotyle of the seed never elongates together during germination. It is never going to happen that the hypocotyle also and the epicotyle also both are going to germinate at the same time. It will be either of them germinating much more. So it is either the epicotyle or the hypocotyle that elongates. If the epicotyle elongates, the cotyledon remains underground or on the ground if the seed is just on the ground, and the germination is called as hypogel, like in pea and gram. If the hypocotyle elongates, the cotyledon are pushed above the ground, and this type of germination is called as epigel germination. So if the hypocotyle is going to elongate, the hypocotyle elongates, then it is the part of the radicle which is going to be grow, and that's why the whole of the cotyledon is going to be taken outside the soil. Because of the growth of the hypocotyle, it is going to come like this. So whereas if it is the the epicotyle which is growing, then the seed will remain inside the soil and the the plumule is going to come outside. So it is always this way, depending upon what is growing. If it is a hypogel growing, it is a epigel germination. If it is a epicotyle elongating, then it is a hypogel germination. If it is a hypocotyle germinating, it is a epigel germination. So if the hypocotyle elongates, the cotyledons are pushed above the ground, and this type of germination is called epigel. So the differentiation between hypogel germination and epigel germination is, in hypogel the cotyledons remain underground, whereas in epigel the cotyledons are pushed above ground. Epi means above. So when the cotyledons are above the ground, it is epigel germination. Epigel, epidermis. So epi यानी क्या? Above. So upper layer. So that is when it is above. That is epi means above. So when the cotyledons are above, then it is epigel germination. In hypogel germination, the epicotyle elongates faster. That is, the upper layer gets layer faster. In the epigel germination, the hypocotyle elongates faster. Hypogel germination usually occurs in monocotyledonous seeds, whereas epigel germination usually occurs in dicotyledonous seeds. A method to observe stage of germination: put the sterilized sand in a glass vessel in which filter paper or ordinary white paper is lined beside the inner wall, and place seeds in between the paper and the glass. When water is added to the sand in the vessel, seeds will absorb the water and germinate in a few days. So that's why if you want to see exactly, तो क्या करना है, ग्लास के कंटेनर में सैंड डाल के वो यूज करना है, and you need a paper in between so that you can easily see the germination of the seeds. Okay, anyway, so germination is some common seeds. That is a pea seed. The seed absorbs water and swell considerably. The testa softens and bursts. The radicle emerges, grows downwards, and forms the root system. The plumule grows upwards and forms the shoot of the seedlings. In the earlier stage of development, the plumule is hard and thus protects the young shoot from injury during its emergence from the soil. The cotyledons supply food till the seedling is able to exist independently. Later, they wither and shrivel off. The cotyledon remains underground, and germination is hypogel. So, in case of pea seed, it is going to be this way, that the seed is going to remain inside the soil. So that is why it is hypogel germination. So this is the soil, the seed is inside. There will be the growth of the radicle and the plumule, but the radicle grows faster, plumule will be lesser. So you will be having the radicle growing much faster with the root system coming up, and the shoot system is just on, and such that this is going to be slightly curved type, so that it is protecting itself because it is very weak. And then it is going to, this particular cotyledon is going to become smaller, and this plant is going to start growing over here, and the roots is going to, and finally this is going to wither off to form the root and the shoot and the root system. So this is how the pea plant is going to grow using the hypogel germination, that is in a pea plant. Okay, so in a pea plant, it is going to be the cotyledon remaining inside. Whereas you can see the bean seeds. In the case of bean seeds, what happens is the bean seed is over here. Now this bean seed is going to start germination, and first thing what is going to come out is the hypocotyle. The hypocotyle elongates, and accordingly it is going to start germinating like this, and then this pushes the cotyledon outwards. So because of the hypocotyle, इसलिए क्या होता है, कि कॉटन धीरे 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 सॉइल के ऊपर आने लगता है. So it comes outside and the seed coat removes, seed coat gets removed and it is going to start coming outside. So it will be something like this, coming here like this, and then it completely comes outside. The two cotyledons are outside and the root system is over here, and finally the cotyledons are going to wither off and there will be a complete plant which is going to be formed like this. So this is the epigel germination, which is in the case of a bean seed. So that's a bean seed. So bean seed epigel, the seed absorbs water and swells. The radicle grows downwards to form the root system. The arced hypocotyle grows, forming an arc loop above the soil. So it is going to form an arc loop above the soil. It then straightens, bringing the cotyledons above the soil. So it straightens and the cotyledons come out above the soil. Germination is therefore epigel, that is above the earth, and the cotyledon becomes the first green leaves and soon fall off after the foliage leaves grow. So once the leaves start growing, the cotyledons are going to wither off, fall off. Similarly is the maize grain. The maize grain will be similar to this one, exactly identical in fact, but this was dicotyledonous, that was monocotyledonous, but exactly the same thing. Maize will start growing into the radicle will first grow, and then the plumule will be slightly going up, and then it will form into the plant. So maize grain, it is a hypogel again, and the grain imbibes water and swells considerably. The radicle pierces through the protective root sheath, colorizer, and the fruit wall and grows downwards to form the root system, but it dies off soon. New root develops from the base of the stem, that is adventitious stem. So initially the radicle grows but then it will die off, and then from the shoot system the roots are going to start growing, which is the adventitious roots. So this one is the taproot system, whereas in case of maize is the adventitious system. So this will be like this. So this will be the kind of a roots in case of maize. In case of maize, the root system will be like this, which will be adventitious roots. The plumule pierces through its protective sheath colorizer and grows straight upwards. The two protective sheath colorizer and coleoptile may be seen as a membranous covering on the axis of the seedling. The cotyledon scutellum absorbs food from the endosperm till it is exhausted. The cotyledon does not elongate. Germination is hypogel. The next kind of germination is viviparous germination. In the viviparous germination is the one in which the germination is going to take place, or the initiation of the germination is going to take place within the plant when the seed is on the plant. Okay, that is normally happening in mangroves. Mangrove plant like Rhizophora and Soneraceae shows a special mode of seed germination called vivipary, in which seed germinates inside the fruit while it is still attached to the parent plant. While it is still attached to the parent plant, the seed starts growing. After germination, the plant drops the seedling into the soil, which develops a root and fixes itself. So viviparous producing live ones is called as viviparous. So this is how it works. This is the diagram which is given over here. So that is about viviparous germination. Finally is the seedling. Germination in any plant ends with the formation of the seedling. That is a small plant. Seedling is a stage in the growth of a plant from a seed before it has become wholly independent of the food stored in it. So till the time it is not independent of the food stored in it, it is a form that is called as a seedling. So once the seedling is formed, means it is now independent. It is now able to produce its own food. It no longer requires the food which was conserved in it. The roots of the seedling absorb water and the minerals of the soil. The leaves start manufacturing the food for the young plant, which keeps growing and becomes a mature plant and produces flowers and seeds in its turn. So this is how the seedling is going to be growing, or that's why the seedling is the one in which the leaf starts manufacturing its own food by photosynthesis, and the roots are going to absorb the moisture, absorb the moisture, the water, and also the minerals from the roots, so from the soil. So this is how the young plant is going to be formed. Okay, so this was about the chapter seed structure and germination, a very easy chapter as such. Yeah, the diagrams are important over here, and the experiment part which was there in the germination part is also important. You need to see properly, because structure kind of questions may be asked that एक experiment दिया रहेगा and you need to write that what are the different things what you can see during the experiments. Okay, and yes, the diagram of the bean seed and the maize seed are important for labeling as well as for drawing. So be prepared for that particular. Okay, so that was the chapter seeds, structure and germination. Thank you.